Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got it!
Another one! Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three in.
He hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat, coming at you here on this Wednesday from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle with you as always. Dustin Schutte with me as well. Looking forward to talking to Bob Kravitz, Kyle Neddenriep as well. Of course, brought to you by our great friends from Andy Moore Honda, number one Honda dealer here in Bloomington, and our good friends from Endeavor Hospitality, the Wow Club. Make sure you go to your Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Sign up for the Wow Club today. They are a big sponsor of Value Athletics. More importantly, a sponsor of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Places like Southern Stone, Courtroom Sports Grill, Feast Market and Cellar, Cabello on the Square, BB's Market, and Metalworks Brewing Company as well. BB's Market, of course. Your market, they are your local meat shop, steakhouse, caterer, no matter where you live. Some of the best custom meats around, and you can reach out to them at visitbbsmarket.com. Dustin Schutte, how are you, sir?
I've had better days, Jim. There is no.
Well, that's not how. That's not. Oh my.
That's a problem. Not only Not only do I not have any coffee in this house,
now my glasses are fogged up.
The delicious sounding sips of a nice morning cup of coffee.
Well, I choked myself trying to be funny.
And that's what you get. I
know.
And there's no headache medicine, so these next 2 hours is going to be a real roller coaster of a ride.
Do you have a
Buckle
headache?
up. I will in probably about an hour. I haven't been awake long enough for it to sink in just yet, but it will.
I thought you'd say in about 2 hours.
Well, I got to give something. I got to give the people something, you know.
Well,
we'll make it through.
Soda Pop doesn't look as energetic this morning. Jennifer hitting us up on the Andy Moore Honda hotline already. Michael says hello. We've talked about the Big Ten media rights deal. We're waiting for that to fall into place. ESPN announces officially they are out of the race, but of course, that's not a shock for a couple of reasons. As I said, Fox is aren't they kind of steering these negotiations?
Yeah. I mean, I think they've already locked up the A slot, and I think there's somewhere in where they're going to air on either Fox, Big Ten Network, or FS1. I believe 60% of the Big Ten's games. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's what the Sports Business Journal reported the other day. Maybe I misread what it meant, but I think that Fox they pretty much locked down their deal. It just becomes now down to the other 40% between CBS, NBC. ESPN's no longer in the mix. I think Amazon or Apple was still in the mix to potentially be a partner there. So it's going to be interesting, but in today's day and age, everybody's going to make a big deal out of this, but it's a big deal in name only. Like 20 years ago, it would have been a huge deal because ESPN owned sports, right? That's how you got your, this is where that's where you got your exposure. Now kids get it through social media. They get it through streaming services. They get their highlights in a different way. So ESPN not having rights to the Big Ten games is not as big of a deal as I think a lot of people are going to make it out to be.
But the Big Ten is bigger than it was, than it used to be. Now you've added Penn State, you've added UCLA, USC. They're an entity. Not that they weren't big before, they were obviously, but that makes them even a bigger deal. It's the SEC and the Big Ten. I don't care what the Big 12 does. I don't care what the Pac-12 does. I don't care what the ACC does. It will forevermore be the Big Ten and the SEC. It has been that way for a large part in football, not completely. You've had interlopers like Notre Dame, Cincinnati, which you'll never see again. That was a fluke that happened last year.
Mm-hmm.
I still say it was a fluke. Cincinnati they weren't good enough to be there, in my opinion. They should have lost Indiana. That's why I say that. That's why I say they weren't good enough to be there. They didn't lose to Indiana, but damn, they should have. And I know what that team was like. So
we all remember that.
So yeah, it's just it's a changing environment as we see each and every day. So but more importantly, it's the money that's going to be worth for the conferences. But in BC, having a part of that may be helpful to the Big Ten. I've talked about the impact that might have on the future with Notre Dame, getting Notre Dame in.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a lot of, and you've got USC and UCLA coming into the mix. So is this counted into that? Are they planning for that? How does that work? A lot of questions.
My guess is that's why a deal has not been done yet, because the Big Ten knew that as soon as USC and UCLA were into the mix, they knew that their worth had it didn't skyrocket, but it went up enough to where they can ask for a little bit more now. They can ask for a little bit more for the CBS and NBCs, and if they want to be part of this and say, hey, we're coast to coast. It used to be we were East Coast to basically the Midwest. And now you can expand that and say our reach stretches from New York to California. So, of course, the Big Ten can ask for more dollars now. And it's going to be appealing because you've got the New York market, Chicago market, and LA market. I'm sure there's another one that I'm missing in there. But just so many huge markets for the Big Ten that it's going to continue to drive the price up. And Mike DeCourcy said a couple weeks ago, the SEC does have a super conference in terms of what they're doing on the field and winning national championships regularly. But when it comes to dollars and cents, the Big Ten is the one that typically wins those battles. I mean, they've been the one that's been able to land the most lucrative media rights deals, and they're the ones that usually dish out the most money to each individual school. So this is an opportunity to kind of increase that lead.
Speaking of USC, a third-party NIL collective will soon come to USC. This is from The Athletic. The Los Angeles Times reports that donors will soon start a collective named, of course, Student Body Right. If you'd have to be a history buff of USC football to know that's where the old Student Body Right came from back in the day. Sweep right. But apparently it's against the wishes of the school. Most schools want to. Okay, schools do not have NIL collectives, but they want to be in the business of running the NIL collective that they do not have.
Right.
Schools want one NIL collective. They don't want multiple, even though it's on a lesser scale than, say, Hoosiers for Good is the NIL collective for Indiana. Anything else is below that. But there's that one group that has been effective at making noise. And so I think Indiana has, as opposed to opposing them, they've embraced them instead of that for that reason. It's not that they want it. It's dealing with it, I think, is the best way to say. But USC does not want this other NIL collective. Let's see, 2 months ago, USC announced USC's NIL entity is BLVD, Boulevard LLC, with designs on avoiding all the issues that may arise from a third-party collective, such as booster influence, potential NCAA scrutiny. That's why schools, they want to know that everything is clean.
Right.
So, but there's another group that's of boosters, no less, that is starting that. You're not going to stop it, people.
No.
People People want to get close to programs. They always have. $100 handshakes back in the days, that was the purpose of that. And it's still, you think that's not the case? There are still people who just want to be close to the program. They want to, oh yeah, I'm friends with so-and-so. I know so-and-so. And that's why schools are trying to prevent some of this and what some of that is about. And so there's that.
Well, I feel like it's more of
Soda Pop. What's Soda Pop have to say?
I feel like it's more of a PR move on the part of the schools, to be quite honest with you, because
Which way?
In terms of, I think that these schools secretly would like to have these NIL boosters or programs set up, even though may not be directly associated with them. I think that they want to have them because it's going to help with recruiting.
I disagree. I think that they'd rather them give the money that they're giving to their NIL so they could remain in complete control of it. I don't think I'm not saying they don't want that money, but they do want it, but they want it in a manner in which they have complete and total control over it.
I agree with that part. So I guess what I'm saying is they would rather have complete control over it. You're right in that, but I think that they would also rather have something other than nothing. But you can't come out and say, yeah, we love having this boost, because they might break rules. I don't even know what all the regulations or guidelines are to this stuff. I don't know that anybody does.
I was going to say, who does?
So that's my point.
When you can do all that you can do today with payments and this and that, and they're still trying to go after, they're still going, and I'm not a Rick Pitino fan, but it just cracks me up that they're worried about Rick Pitino, the 70-year-old guy who was at Iona, but they're not worried about Bill Self in Kansas.
Right.
They're not worried about North Carolina. They're not worried about these programs, who was the damn coach at LSU? Will Wade. I mean, these guys need show causes on there. They ought to be out, but they're not going anywhere.
Yeah. Well, at least they did finally part ways with Will Wade. That was a long time coming. They finally did that. And they got LSU kind of cleaned house. So
they didn't have a choice because
correct.
LSU is without question probably the cheatingest university in the history of universities. It's probably the cheatingest state in the history of, go back and look at elections. There's a long, long list of cheating that has happened in Louisiana, maybe back in the start of the country, since, that's where you used to, bourbon and everything was sold down there in New Orleans and Mississippi. Everybody take the Mississippi down. And so everybody was cheating everybody. And I guess it started back in the 1700s, baby. And it hasn't stopped.
Dating back to the Louisiana Purchase. They're still upset about it.
I'm telling you.
Let's see. Now I lost my train. Going back to like the LSU, the cheating is, but just kind of the slimy stuff that they do. Like there was a children's hospital that got defunded. They took money from that to give it to one of the players. Like just some of that stuff. It never made sense to me why a place like Indiana, for phone calls, text messages, all that good stuff, got the kind of punishment it did, and the NCAA turned its head when LSU was doing like some serious, it would border on the status
because
of criminal
Indiana
activity.
Well, I'll tell you why. For one thing, Indiana turned itself in. Indiana did everything you should never do.
That's correct.
Rick Pitino told Louisville not to do it, and it hurt them the first time they got in trouble. You don't
cooperate.
You don't self-punish. You can do some things, but you don't take yourself out of the tournament or things like that, which is what Louisville did, and they screwed themselves.
I go back to the North Carolina, Missouri stuff. Like the North Carolina, obviously with the classes, I can't remember what the situation was at Missouri, but it was far less egregious than what had occurred at North Carolina, and North Carolina got no punishment. Missouri was cooperative. I think they turned themselves in, and they got I think it was 1 year or multi-year postseason ban, a bunch of penalties. And one of the NCAA representatives was asked, is it better to just not turn yourself in, not cooperate? And he said, you could probably make that argument. So it's like, what the hell are we doing here? What's the point in being honest, or what's the point in trying to catch this stuff and be cooperative if you're just going to levy the fines? And if you're not cooperative, you're going to let those schools off the hook. It never made any sense to me. So, I mean, we could go on that topic, but it's just another, I don't know how we got here, but the NCAA, just not the best.
Well, no, and Tana says Will Wade was the second coming of Eddie Sutton. Eddie Sutton didn't need to do anything. He had that big blue machine going. He didn't. All he had to do was just go drink his martinis and wait for the next game. So, but what was I going to say? Oh, Larry, I saw that Larry. First of all, Tim said Ozzy Osbourne makes a surprise appearance with Black Sabbath guitarist Tony Omni at Birmingham, England, Commonwealth Games, home of Black Sabbath. They perform Iron Man and Paranoia. Always cool when that stuff happens. Love when that kind of stuff happens. Ross said a shot of bourbon for this morning
I got plenty of it. I got plenty of it too.
Maybe we'll see you do one later and see if it helps. And we'll determine. And then by the end of the show, you can tell us did it help or not.
Was it the best show I've ever done or the worst show I've ever done?
Larry S. making his way up from South Georgia. A lot of Georgia listeners. You got Larry, you got Forrest, of course, our contributor to the Hoosier.com, Caleb Nost. Appreciate everybody in Georgia. And then also I just saw from Bill says that Paul in Salem is listening for the first time. So Bill, thank you. You know what, Bill or Paul, call WSLM. I think we should be on there. That's a perfect station for us. And there in Salem, and would love to be on there. Grew up listening to that somewhat, but appreciate all you guys for tuning in. How's everybody doing down in Evansville on the RAF 97.7? The Cardinals, man, big Cardinal country. They're doing things upright. Let's see. Where are we in the most updated standings?
With St. Louis leading the division
by one game now after the Cardinals lose last night. They had won 9 out of 10, but they lose, and of course the Brewers win. The Brewers have helped out, man. They've gone 4-6 over their last 10 games, but the Cardinals with a 1-game lead and at 59 wins. That's for there's 3 teams that make the wild card now, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The Brewers are playing for a playoff spot. But we've got to take a break. But the Brewers and the Cardinals, because whoever does not win that division is not going to win a wild card spot, because the Phillies have a better record. Bob Kravitz from The Athletic joins us next, right after this. Brought to you by our good friends from BB's Market. Make sure you go to visit bbsmarket.com for online ordering. They have some of the best meats around, man. They're your local meat shop, your steakhouse, caterer, no matter where you live, whether you're in South Georgia, Florida, it doesn't matter. Visit bbsmarket.com. Back with Bob Kravitz right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting...
Morning, Bob.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, we're always better now.
Oh, is this the Whalers you got on today?
The Hartford Whalers, my favorite hat.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a classic.
That's
just
like
last time you wore that hat is when we got on the conversation of the Macon Whoopee.
The Macon Whoopee. You know what? I looked it up, and there's a way to buy that hat. I just haven't done it yet.
I'm gonna have to get a Hartford Whalers hat. I tell you, I need to go with maybe some CFL teams. The Argonauts.
Yeah, the Argos. One of the 18 different not Stampeders, the Rough Riders. There's like 2 teams called the Rough Riders. I think the Rough Riders, Stampede, one of those 2.
Well, the
Edmonton Eskimos.
Oh
man, I forgot about them.
I covered the Grey Cup at Sports Illustrated many years ago in Vancouver. That was cool as hell.
We got the Hamilton Tiger Cats, the Montreal Alouettes, Ottawa Red Blacks. We already said Argonauts, the British Columbia Lions, Stampeders. You said already. Oh, it's the Edmonton Elks now.
Oh, they changed it.
Yeah.
It used to be Rough Riders, I thought.
No, they're Saskatchewan Rough Riders.
Well, there used to be 2 Rough Riders. If I could be wrong,
And then the last team is the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
The Blue Bombers, yes.
And these are active teams.
Coldest I've ever been in my life. Winnipeg, Canada. Oh my God.
Let's see. Who was that I just saw that's coming up from South Georgia that I said? Larry Sims. Larry Sims, where are you coming to? You're coming to B-Town. Let me know where you're going to be, and I'll make sure you get a hat or a visor. Driving that far, listening to us. Hell yeah. I can't believe how many different. Yeah, we got a lot of listeners in Georgia.
Yeah.
I think Florida's got to be the number 1 out of state. I'm guessing.
See, I always thought we were just doing this for ourselves.
Well,
something to do. Keep us off the streets.
I think it every day. Anytime somebody says they actually listen, I'm shocked. I'm like, huh? Really?
See, that's how you know you put on a good show, because people who do this kind of thing, if you don't think about your audience, you're not overthinking what you're doing.
Right.
At least that's what I think. So, but here we go.
Sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Southern Stone Restaurant. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday, and you know what that means? Bob Kravitz from The Athletic joining myself and Dustin Schutte now. How are you, sir?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
Could not be better. Brought to you by our good friends at Southern Stone Restaurant, a part of the Endeavor Hospitality and the Wild Club. Southern Stone, located on Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington. Southern fare with a great mixture of all that you'd love from mixed Southern Indiana and Southern soul food. Not soul food, but however you want to call it.
I'll eat
but
it.
Mikey
Sounds
likes
good.
it. Mikey likes it.
Yeah.
Mikey likes it. How is Mikey? How is Bob Kravitz?
I'm good, man. Just had a piece run this morning on Paris Campbell. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it, but I think it's a pretty good piece because Paris made it a good piece. He was very open and honest about nearly hanging it up 2 years ago after his really devastating knee injury. So I got that, and got Nick Foles talking today. I think I might do something on him today or tomorrow. So staying busy, man.
How long has it been since the Colts have been this good in the quarterback room?
Oh my God, since Andrew Luck and Jacoby Brissett, I guess.
Were they that good then?
Together, I'm trying to remember now. Gosh,
I thought that they were, but
yeah, they were together. Yeah.
Even if they were,
I lose track of my quarterbacks when it comes to the Colts.
Even if they were, is that duo better than this duo?
Yeah, because Luck is
Luck is in a
Luck is in a different
further
category.
of his career as opposed
a solid backup, and so is Nick Foles. Now Nick Foles has won a Super Bowl, but that was I'm not going to say a fluke. I'm going to say it was a
he was like
a comet across the sky.
Who was the third string quarterback for Ohio State that won the national championship that year?
Cardell Jones.
There you go.
Thank you,
Cardell. Yeah, that's when I still laugh at not the second stringer, but the third stringer. They already went through the first two.
Right. He never amounted to anything as a player. Besides that,
one of the greatest lines ever was in any given Sunday when the starting quarterback gets hurt, and they say, "Where's whatever his name is, Tortellini, whatever his name was? Hey, he's hurt." And the coach says, "What? He fall off the bench?" It was one of my. Oh my God, I just love. There are certain lines that I'm like going, though that's a classic, and it was. But that's not the case for the Colts.
One of the things I've never. I'm sorry, Jim. I've never understood about NFL GMs is they're all about depth at every position, and yet when it comes to quarterback, they seem to take the tack that, well, if we lose our starter, we're screwed anyway. So why spend money on a decent backup? I've been screaming for years for them to get themselves a decent backup, especially with Carson last year with his injury history. Andrew obviously with his injuries. I've never understood the difference between making the playoffs and not making the playoffs. If you're a good team, is 1 game, 2 games, maybe. I'll tell you what, I'd much rather have Nick Foles out there than Sam Ehlinger. I want a guy who's actually been under the bright lights and done it, beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. So I think this is a great pickup for them. Hopefully they'll never have to use him, but if they have to, I'm pretty comfortable with what he can do.
Before I forget, the MyBoard golf outing next Friday. Looking forward to playing in that with Bob.
Well, you won't be getting any long drives from me, son.
Got that covered.
Good. You got a scratch golfer.
Got that covered. So we're good. But part of that is being brought to you by Remax and Cheryl Sizemore. If you're interested in playing, we'll get that flyer up here a little bit. I've got to get that to John, but we'll get that information up and out to you, or just reach out to me and I'll get that info to you. So, but that's up in, I think, Mooresville. Looking forward to that.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully the weather will be like it is now. It's kind of cool after this.
Cool.
After this, that front came through last night. Man, it was hot yesterday. I went out yesterday with intentions of hitting some balls, but I changed my mind.
I had my ALS tournament this past Monday.
How'd that go?
It went great. We raised some significant money for the ALS Association, but it was hotter than I can't
Hades.
say.
Hades.
Yes, we'll say Hades.
Absolutely.
Was a brutal one. But, I stayed hydrated on Coors Light. I'm told that works. I'm told that's a very effective.
Apparently, Dustin Schutte's having some issues with that today. So,
yeah, I'm going to have to take a shot of bourbon at some point during the show today because this house is out of coffee and I need to stay awake.
So bourbon should do it.
Yeah, I think so. That's how it used to be. The mint julep was created because it was a morning drink, a breakfast drink. You didn't know that, did you, Jim?
I didn't know that.
Say that again.
The mint julep was a breakfast drink back in the early days. That's how it was created.
Yeah, so they just took regular bourbon and said, all right, let's tame this down for breakfast, and then we'll go back to at lunchtime. We're back to regular,
just straight. Yep, exactly.
Straight up, baby.
What you got to do?
So the Colts are looking good. They're coming into this preseason. It sounds like is in as good a position as they have for a while. Defensively, they're solid. Offensively, they seem solid.
So I still have concerns about the wide receiving and especially the tight end group. Jelani Woods looks kind of lost right now. Kylan Granson is good for a couple of drops, during practice. So I'm a little concerned there. Obviously concerned about Shaquille Leonard. We don't know when he's going to come back. It's open-ended. But other than that, I mean, for this team to have a quarterback situation that's stable is like a big freaking deal. The fact that it's so quiet, you've got two solid veteran quarterbacks back there. Paris Campbell, cross your fingers and toes, has been fine. He's been excellent, actually. Stephon Gilmore, I'm telling you guys, it's been 2-3 years since he was Defensive Player of the Year. He's had a bunch of injuries. He looks fantastic. He looks really good. Jonathan Taylor looks like Jonathan Taylor. There are going to be some questions about the offensive line. You got Matt Pryor. You got first-year left tackle, and that's a big deal, especially with a quarterback who's, doesn't get around real well. But having said all that, yes, they are in pretty damn good shape heading into the first preseason game here this week.
Looking forward to that. Go ahead, Dustin.
Well, I was going to say one of the things that stuck out to me, and it was a story earlier this week. I don't know if it was yesterday but Yannick Ngakoue is taking some extra time to study some offenses with Robert Mathis. I mean, he's a guy that I think is really taking it upon himself to be one of the next great Colts defensive players. And I think the other day too, he even surprised a school or a charity with some school supplies with the upcoming school season. So he's a guy who's not only wanting to get it done on the field, but he's making a contribution in the community as well.
Yeah, if you guys have a chance, and you obviously have already read it, but Zach Kiefer wrote a really terrific piece on Yannick. He has done everything he can to ingratiate himself to this community in like about 10 minutes. He's reached out. He's done all these things, charity work. And he's a guy who's kind of bounced around despite the fact that he's had, several straight seasons, I think 5 or 6 straight seasons of 8 sacks or more. But he's a guy who's never been able to find a home for various reasons. And some of them are on him. But he wants desperately to make this home. As he said, Indiana is dope. And I think we all like it. There are things about it that drive me crazy, but let's not go there. But he wants to find a home, and he is dead set on proving to the Colts that he's not only going to be a great guy in the community, but he's going to be a hell of a player. Because you watch him practice, and he just practices like his hair is on fire.
What is new for Mr. Bob Kravitz, besides covering the Colts? We've got college football coming up.
Yeah, I'll be down. I'll be down at IU, and I'll be up at Purdue at some point. I'm trying to look at the schedule and figure it out. But right now, I'm concentrating on Nick Foles, my Wayne Gretzky story, which I've talked about 150 times. That's going to run August 23rd. The good news is they think it's worth an A1 selection at the Athletic. The bad news is that we have a lot of A1s, and it usually goes to the back of the line, so it won't go till the 23rd. But it's not like Wayne's going to make a comeback, so we don't have to worry about any time factor there. So that's about it. It's just waiting for things to get good and crazy here at the beginning of September.
Looking forward to that, as I'm looking forward to college football getting started. But we do have the Little League World Series right now going on. So I always love that. Indiana beat Kentucky last night.
Saw that. Did you see the kid? Kid got hit in the head.
Yep.
No.
And, kid gets hit in the head, wipes himself off. He was okay, thank God. Gets down to first base, and it turned out that the pitcher who hit him, they were good buddies. They became good buddies kind of, off at the hotel or whatever. And the kid was crying, and he was really upset that he had hit the guy in the head. So the kid at first base who got hit walked over and gave him a big hug and told him, hang in there, don't worry about it, I'm good. It was a really nice moment. Really nice moment. Great sportsmanship. I don't want to see it at the major league level, but there's no crying in baseball, as we know. So
that's right.
So yeah, it was a really cool deal. You ought to. It's been on Twitter about 3,000 times, so I'm sure you can find it somewhere.
I was going to say, I think it's gotten over like 120,000 shares at this point or something. And like the thing that's cool to me about it is I feel like every other day there's a giant fight at an MLB stadium, like among the fans, a bunch of drunken idiots. And it's the kids who are the ones that are actually setting the example.
Well, there's nothing new there. Let me tell you, I played high school hockey, and the parents were getting thrown out, and they're screaming and yelling and getting into it with the opposing teams of fans, and we're playing hockey and we're not even fighting.
Right.
I mean, we're trying to beat the crap out of each other, but we're not throwing down. So yeah, the kids, we're okay. If those kids are representative of what's coming along, then we'll be just fine.
Right.
What's new? What's next for you?
Well, again, I'm going to talk to Nick Foles today. As it turns out, I just found out he'd be available today, and after that, I take it day by day. I may even reach out to you, Jim, or just find out what's going on with IU or Purdue. More IU with you, and I'll head on up or down here in the next week or so. And so yeah, it's all good, man. Just getting my job done, playing some bad golf, the usual.
Well, keep it up, man. That's what we need. Bring the bad golf next week, and we'll play perfect cart golf.
Cart golf. Who's bringing the beer? That's the question.
I think it'll be there. It'll be there.
Okay, good to know. Especially if we got a scratch golfer, I don't have to be any good.
We will not have to be good. That you don't have to worry about. Just bring the Bob Kravitz we know and love, baby.
Okay, I'll see if I can find him in the back room.
Bob Kravitz from The Athletic. Make sure you give him a follow and subscribe to The Athletic, if not, for great coverage of Colts and Hoosiers, everything else regarding the state. Thanks, Bob.
Hey, buddy.
See you soon, brother.
All right.
Bob Kravitz. We've got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends from Metalworks Brewing Company, of course, part of the WOW Club, Endeavor Hospitality. Go to your Apple App Store, Google Play Store. Make sure you sign up for the WOW Club today, and then stop by and say hello to them at Metalworks Brewing Company. Used to be the former Function Brewery, right off of the square in Bloomington off 6th Street. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
The sun is out.
Hey, just to clarify, Kyle, I moved Kyle to 9:30 from now on, so he'll be not this segment, but the following segment.
Perfect.
It was becoming an issue of him being back to back with Bob Kravitz, especially when we would go along with Bob. I know we didn't go along with him today, but sometimes you do.
Yes.
Dennis Eckersley leaving Boston Red Sox booth.
Well, first of all, why was he in the Boston Red Sox booth?
I don't know. Final season calling games on NESN. I assume that's New England Sports Network. He played for the Red Sox for 6-7 seasons.
Did he really?
Yep. That was actually... No, Oakland was his longest, 8 years. Played for the Red Sox from 78 to 84, and then 1998.
Jim, I may get a chance today to test out a Roadcaster. I'm going down for a little onboarding at iHeart.
Well, I don't think it's learning how those as much. I've got to get it figured out on my stupid laptop. Why it's not? No, seriously, why it's not working?
No, I know. All right, here we go.
See, it's like the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here on this Wednesday. I hope you're having a good week. And the first half was great. Not the second half was better. Brought to you by our good friends from Remax Realty. If you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore and her 2 decades of experience. It could be the difference in you getting the home you want or not. Reach out to her, Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. They also have the MyBore golf event that is going on next Friday, the 19th. I think that starts at noon. Looking forward to playing in that at the Heartlands Crossing Golf Course. Bob's playing in that with us as well. Dustin could be playing, but he's not here. So he's not playing.
I'll be playing in spirit. You don't want me on your team.
But I'm looking for the flyer. There we go. To send that to John. So you can have that. Now I am forwarding this to you, Sir John, and you can put that up for us here in a minute so everyone else that may possibly want to sign up and play can do just that and sign up and play. It's a fun event. So there, it's on its way. And I love scrambles.
Well, yeah, you don't have to play well.
No, it's just less, no stress. The Thursday night league that they have here at the Golf Club at Eagle Point that I always played in, they changed the format this year to where you're basically having to play your own score. And I'm like, yeah, no, I can't deal with that stress. I'm not dealing with that stress once a week, man. I'm like, the whole thing for me is to play those things is a stress reliever. And that does not. Yeah. Depending on me, every shot, no, I can't. I can't deal with that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
It's too hard on me. It's too hard on me, man. It's too hard on me. Golf is one. It drives me insane. I consider myself a relatively decent athlete. I've played virtually every sport, some sport, roping, rodeo, some sports that most people don't. Golf cannot. All these years, just it's a fleeting thing, man.
Yep.
There is no consistency with my game.
No, there's none with mine either. There's sometimes when there's always one facet of my game that's really off. So recently I can't get off the tee box. My iron play has been pretty solid and I've been putting better, but can't get off the tee box. Then if I'm able to correct the driver, then I'm not able to chip and I can't putt. So it's always one thing after another. And like I said, I've usually, having said all that, I can usually manage in the low 90s, which I think my goal is to consistently be able to break 90 because then you're playing bogey golf and that would be enjoyable. But man, these last 3 or 4 times, I think I've shot over 100 each time. It's not been great for me.
Man, how about Cameron Smith signing with LIV Golf?
Is that official? They had talked about it, but he denied it. He wouldn't open up about it.
I'm not. I knew it was going to happen when he won the British Open. He was being really coy and, he's young. He has no allegiance to the PGA or any of that. So why wouldn't he?
But the judge, we'll see where these other lawsuits go. But the judge has already shut out those 3, Taylor Gooch, Matt Jones, and Hudson Swafford, I think, were the three. They
Okay,
cannot participate in the FedEx Cup playoffs.
Is the FedEx Cup playoffs a PGA event only?
I believe it's the PGA Tour playoffs. I believe that's their version of the playoffs.
Okay, that's why I wanted to make sure it didn't have anything to do with the European guys at all. But guess what? Do you think he cares? He just made $100 million. What's the most he could win at the FedEx? $10 million?
I don't know what the winnings are for that. So,
okay,
he's in he's a better spot financially.
He just won the FedEx Cup 10 years in a row, basically, with the $100 million deal without a single stroke.
Good point.
So, and he doesn't care. I mean, he just wants to play golf, man. I'm sure, he'd like to play in the Masters and all those events, but I doubt that the Open will keep those guys out. We'll see. And there's enough golf in Europe that they're like, hey, we'll play both of those leagues. I mean, I think that it's just going to hurt. Nobody cares about the PGA events between the majors anymore because the stars are just not really. You get a couple in there, but you don't get the star lineup you used to. So nobody cares. So why are you forcing that upon? They're forcing that upon people now by keeping those guys out of being able to play, in my opinion. But
well, I mean, I don't know how this is going to go or how it's going to unfold. But I mean, the thing that these guys wanted to get away from was they said that the PGA Tour schedule was too restrictive. They wanted to spend more time with their families. You look at the LIV contracts, they're going to be playing just as much, if not more golf than what they would have been doing. So I just wish these people would come out and say it's a straight money grab because that's what they don't care. There's no incentive to play golf. These guys don't want to play golf. There's no incentive. You can go out and play. I can't say the word I wanted to say. You can go out and play a crappy round. It doesn't affect what kind of money you're going to bring in. What's an extra $4 million if you're bringing home if you're guaranteed $250 million?
Force is absolutely correct. The only way to be consistent is to hit lots of balls at the range. There ain't no lying there, baby. Wyan says out of all the sports he's played, golf by far pisses him off the most. Recently, his drives have been horrendous. He uses the 3-club. He used 3 clubs. 5-iron, pitching wedge, and a putter. Boy, you got to get out of that. You're not going to get any better. Take lessons. If I told anybody when you first started, take lessons. Just don't be like me. And now I'm spending the rest of my life trying to get out of the horrible habits that I have.
Here's a good recommendation too.
And there's Tanis is right. He just wants to watch John Daly until he no longer is ripping.
Yep.
Go ahead and put that up real quick, John. If you're interested in signing up for the MyBore golf event, you can do so. Coming up on August 19th, that is a Friday. As I said, at Heartlands Crossing, links course. Be like playing in the British Open.
There you go.
It's a 12 o'clock noon shotgun start. Box lunches at 11. Registration, all that good stuff at 11. So, or if you want to be a whole sponsor or any of that as well, you can reach out to Cheryl. There's the information there, or reach out to Cheryl at indiehomepros.com. Thank you, sir.
I saw a comment from Ross earlier that indicated that Dick Vitale is making what I think is his annual plea to get John Calipari to.
I was thinking it was
to get the IU game. Well, I mean,
it's one of the things that he wants to get done before he dies. I really believe that that is in his mind, something that he wants. I really do. Should it have happened? Yeah, it should have already happened. But you know what? I don't know that it happens with Calipari there. And if it does happen, it's probably going to take the TV networks to come in and throw some cash up. But UK just signed a stupid one, a home and home with to go to Spokane. So, you know what? They don't want to. He was embarrassed. I don't know. He can use all that excuse crap he wants. It's the biggest bag of crap I've ever heard. His reasoning. He got his ass beat.
Yeah,
that's what happened. He never wants to be in a position to where he tries to absolutely limit being in an opposing court situation. He probably hates the Louisville series. He probably would rather that thing be played in Frankfurt.
Well, I'm sure he
would. Or Midway, where Charlie's son goes to school. Midway between Louisville and Lexington.
Right. I mean, I don't know. It would take, I think that on the network side, it would probably take something like the ACC Big Ten Challenge. You'd have to have the SEC Big Ten Challenge come in and do something like that where you're going to do a home and home. That would be, to me, that's the only way it's going to get done, because he's already made it very clear that the only way he's going to do that game is if it's at a neutral site. He doesn't want to do the home and home.
Yeah, I guess thinks that I don't know that he's protecting his team. I think he's more protecting him.
What
he doesn't want to go into those situations. He does not want that veil of supremacy to be.
But see,
altered.
this is, to me, you're gonna run that risk. He plays in the SEC. They're gonna run that risk anytime they go on the road. It doesn't matter. I don't understand how it's any different at Indiana. I legitimately don't. Like, you still have to go to Tennessee. You still have to. I mean, no, none of these. And here, let me be clear. None of these schools have the same prestige or the history or tradition as Indiana. But my point is that you can go and get embarrassed at any one of those schools, and the fans can storm the court, and they could, whatever reason he wants to use, and it could have an impact on recruiting. I don't understand how Indiana is any different.
It's not. It just this superiority complex again.
Right.
So it would help. To me, it would help them want to have a presence in the state, but I could care less.
Well, it's
I want to see that game, and I'll be honest with you, and I've said this a lot. Indiana would not have been good for Indiana to have been in that series for the end of the Crean and the Archie Miller era.
Right.
That would have really hurt. And I think that what Kenny Payne at Louisville is doing is smart. Mike Woodson and some other people have tried to reach out to him to get games going, like Indiana, Louisville, or some other people. And he said, give me a year. Let me get my feet wet. Let me get the program going, and then we'll do that. Smart. I think it's very smart. Indiana didn't do that by plan, I don't think, for Woody, but it's kind of late when you come in when he did to alter that season schedule. But man, the additions they've made for this season, I think, are unbelievable.
Right.
You're talking about playing Arizona, Kansas, North Carolina, and Xavier.
Kids, and the thing is, kids want to play in those games. They want to play in those. There's no guarantee. I don't care how good you are. We saw it with Virginia and UMBC. We've seen it with Duke and Lehigh and other teams. We saw it with Michigan State, Middle Tennessee State. There's no guarantee that you're going to get to the Final Four. There's no guarantee you're going to get to the pinnacle, no matter how good you are. So you give those kids an opportunity to play in these big games. Indiana, Kansas, those kids want to play in that game. Indiana against North Carolina, those kids want to play in those games. So I don't understand. I mean, whatever. We've been talking about this for a decade now, and it still pisses me off. And I don't really have a dog in the fight. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Like you said, I would think if if Kentucky goes up there to Assembly Hall and kicks Indiana's ass, that's going to help Kentucky's recruiting. But who am I?
I hear you, man. We'll see. It'll happen. I mean, Calipari's not going to be there forever.
That's true.
I'll be honest with you. I would have thought that this would have been his last season. I think 2 years ago, I said that I see him here maybe 2 more years. There's no reason for him to leave. He's making unbelievable money and he's got a lifetime contract. So, and he doesn't have to work hard. So it's, there's no reason for him to walk away. I wouldn't if I were him, but, we'll see. But yeah, that's a game that needs to happen. Hopefully it does, but I don't know what happens in the future with all these conference realignment. There's still going to be a huge difference between basketball and football. Football is going to be the big two, SEC and the Big Ten. It's just what it's going to come down to. Basketball, that's not the case. And so there will be differences there. I don't know. None of us know what it's going to be like. Or will the Big East, Big Ten, ACC, Big Ten challenges continue, all that stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be hard to tell. Yeah. There's no way to know.
Especially in basketball. I mean, the conference schedule in basketball, does that expand? I mean, they've already gone to 20 games. So you can still keep that at 20, but you've added 2 teams. So now you would be playing 2 teams less, 2 less home and homes.
Right.
You'd have 2 more, probably 2 more single deals.
That would be my guess as to where that's going to go. Because the non-conference stuff, I mean, it's all made for TV, and I'm sure there's plenty of money involved in that to where it's still lucrative. I mean, obviously you want to see Big Ten teams play each other, but there's still going to be a lot of appeal to see Indiana, North Carolina, Purdue, Duke, Michigan, Arizona, Michigan State, Kansas, all those type of games. There's still going to be a huge market for that in these multi-team events.
Does the Big Ten go to, and for basketball, does the Big Ten go to once UCLA and USC join with 16 teams? You've got a 20-game schedule already, so they have to play certain teams twice like they do now. So do they keep that same exact platform to where – but right now you play every team at least once. If that were the case and you kept that platform, that would be 15 single games with 5 of those home and homes. Yeah. So
I think that's probably what they'll do. They'll keep the protected rivalries.
You couldn't even have divisions. I mean, you could, but
right.
Yeah. So there's that. That's going to be interesting. How's that going to work out?
Yeah, I have no idea. The basketball thing is going to be interesting because then you're talking about midweek flights. You're talking about really late night tip-offs, and that's just the logistics of it. That doesn't even include what you just talked about, the scheduling and how you're going to align and all that good stuff.
I hope the Big Ten has enough the common sense to not schedule a UCLA and an Indiana on a Tuesday night. Or whomever.
But how are they going to? But how else would they do that? Because
schedule those games for the weekends, man.
Yeah,
but you're not playing them.
But UCLA and USC are gonna. They don't have another option. Those are the only 2 schools out west, so they've got to play some of those games midweek. I mean, I understand if there were 6 to 8 teams or something from the West Coast, then you could probably do that. But as it stands now, that's tough.
Yeah, that's going to be something. I think it's break time. That's what John's telling me. Hey, if you're in the southern Indiana area, down by Louisville, Floyd, Clark, Harrison counties, all down through there, Barbara Pop Real Estate Services has served that area for 3 decades. They will get you whatever you want in the home you want. whether it's a little farm, ranch, whatever you might need. Reach out to Matt Lincoln, Matt@barbarapop.com. He'll get you taken care of. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore Honda.
Morning, Kyle.
Morning.
How are you, sir?
Good. How are you guys?
Good, sir.
Did you enjoy your 2 weeks?
Yeah, we did. We went to Ireland and Scotland.
Oh, man.
So,
do I need to come back with some Irish pub music now?
yes, please. And a Guinness. And
I need to back out so it doesn't play over the air.
What's new, brother?
just cranking on high school football previews.
Yeah, it's that time of year.
When's the first week of the season?
Next Friday is the first week of games, and then so they
Get out of here. Are you serious?
yeah, August 19th.
Get the hell out of here. Dude, we did not play that soon. We as a matter of fact, I don't think our jamboree was until a week later than this.
Yeah,
and that didn't even count.
The jamborees and scrimmages are this Friday.
Do they still do jamborees? I thought that they did away with those.
They're kind of coming back. There's not a lot of them, but they are kind of coming back. There's a few, probably 3 or 4 local teams, or there's probably 3 or 4 of them total, I'd say, in our area. When I was in Missouri, that's all everybody had jamborees. Like everybody did jamborees.
I was gonna say, when I was growing up, that's all it was just a jamboree.
Yeah, which I kind of like covering it because you get to see more teams play.
Right.
But like, there's a couple 3-teamers. I'm going to cover a 3-teamer, I think, Friday.
Okay.
So
I feel like ours was 4 teams, and
We had 5, baby. We Providence would have one every year, and that was back when there was only 3 classes, and Providence played a lot. They played better up then, but it was Floyd Central, New Albany, Jeffersonville, Providence, and maybe Clarksville.
Here we go.
That could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Courtroom Sports Grill in Bedford. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is Wednesday. We've made it to the halfway point, joined now by our good friend Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star. Sir, how are you doing?
doing great. How are you guys?
Doing fine, Dustin Schutte. With me, I hope he's ready to go, because in the break you informed us that week 1 of high school football, is actually next week, but this Friday are the scrimmages and the jamborees are happening. And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? I had no idea that they were starting this soon, man.
Breaking news.
Wow.
The season starts next week.
I'm telling you, man, it is breaking news to me. I'm like, wow. And I've been reading stuff too. I'm like, I just don't pay attention to the dates, I guess. It's That just seems soon to me, man. I guess everything when you're younger, everything was whatever it was. But I thought we started later in the year. But of course, the school years have now changed a lot too.
It may have been, the thing is we're on the front end here. I think everybody else in the neighboring states is normally a week later. But with everybody making the tournament here, you almost have to. If you're playing this amount of games, unless you wanted to cut the regular season down a week, you almost have to start this week just because you can't fit it in by Thanksgiving weekend otherwise. So, but yeah, it does. But honestly, for me, you're kind of putting stuff out all summer and preview, formats and whatever. I'm kind of ready for the games to begin by this point. But coming off a 2-week vacation too, I also got a lot to get done. So that's it does seem like it's coming kind of quick this year.
You've done a lot of pieces with a lot of quarterbacks to watch this year in that Indianapolis area, but all over the state, but especially up in the Indy area. That's a piece you had out a couple of weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, there are some good ones, and I think maybe the best one is Danny O'Neill, who's he can't be in the Mr. Football discussion yet because he's only a junior, but to me, he's one of the more accomplished, polished quarterbacks that I've seen at that age. He came in last year as a sophomore, and 30 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions against the schedule they played is really mind blowing. Really, I remember covering the first game he ever started, and feeling like he was like, this is not. He wasn't overwhelmed. He's a 15-year-old sophomore playing at a very high level. So, he's getting some pretty big time offers, already. And, as a quarterback, that doesn't always happen. Quarterbacks don't get a lot of scholarship offers just thrown at them unless they're pretty dang good. So, he's probably the name to start with. We've got another good one here who's not the biggest recruit in the world, but Nick Patterson at Mooresville, who's putting up all kinds of numbers, and he's going to end up playing somewhere pretty good, I think. But he's another one to watch. But, this is a year where a lot of teams, too, at the 6A level at least are, Jaden Whitaker is another one from Brownsburg. He's going to Western Illinois. But, this is a year or two where a lot of 6A teams around here are changing at the quarterback spot. So, there'll be a new group of guys to kind of cover and see. And that quarterback position obviously dictates how the team goes a lot of times. So, that's anytime I look at, how teams fare going into the next year, I'm looking for returning quarterbacks. It's always a huge indicator on how well a team plays in the upcoming season. So, that's a big issue, I think, for some teams that are, have state title hopes. So a team like Cathedral with O'Neill coming back as a returning starter, I think is a pretty big feather in their cap.
I know you got Christian Abney from Zionsville. He signed with Ball State. He's going to be a Cardinal.
Yeah, and he's a guy who, he's 6'5", doesn't have a lot of it. He got hurt last year, so he kind of had to miss a few. I can't remember how many games he ended up playing, only I think 6 or 7, but came in the state championship, played really well, and against that Cathedral team that I just mentioned. So he's got some promise to him. Obviously, it's like I say, 6'5", so he's got pretty good size and good strength, good speed. Just doesn't have a ton of experience yet, but he jumped on that Ball State offer, and I'll be curious to see if he gets, as football recruiting goes, sometimes when you commit, that's when the schools start recruiting you who are at the higher level. So
I was going to say, did you think that he might have committed a little soon with his senior season coming up? After being hurt.
I think you kind of get locked into a spot. You kind of, all right, I'm going to take this spot. If this is what it ends up being, he's happy being in Ball State. If something else bigger comes along, then you can look at that if that works out for you. Now, that doesn't always work out. I think sometimes there's a coaching change, and a bigger school will take a chance on a guy and kind of throw an offer out there, and then you're kind of fighting for a spot. Maybe you're in over your head a little. Not saying his case that would be the case necessarily, but so I think he wants to get, and I think he can play at Ball State. I think that'll be a good situation for him. But, this summer there was such a rush on, and it's kind of every summer, but especially with the transfer portal. I mean, you got to get locked into a spot. If you want a spot, Otherwise your position, you could get locked out of it. There's I won't mention who it was, but I know there's a kid around here who ended up committing to a really big time school. He didn't necessarily, that wasn't his first choice, but his other choice, they got his position got filled up before he could commit. So, that can happen. That happens at times, and saw it firsthand with the kid here that I cover. So I think you just want to get locked into a spot, and coaches understand that's part of the game too, but that's why they pressure you a little bit to make a commitment.
Go ahead.
You were talking about. I saw some of the storylines heading into the 2022 high school football season. What are some of the early games on this schedule now that it's only a week away, and neither Jim nor I can believe it? But what are some of the early important big matchups that you're looking forward to right out of the gate?
Yeah, there's probably 3 games next week that I'm, kind of debating which one I want to be at. Brownsburg and Ben Davis is one. Like I said, Brownsburg's kind of a maybe a little bit under the radar. Ben Davis, and a reason I really want to see that game is Ben Davis just clocked him last year in the regional. Brownsburg finally won a sectional for the first time in I think since 2009. So it'd been like 12 years since they'd won a sectional. They come out the next week, and I covered this game. It was cold. It was one of those nights where it was just kind of windy, and Ben Davis just took it to him and completely dominated the game. And that was after Brownsburg beat him early in the season. So, this sort of a rematch of that game. And Ben Davis's quarterback actually transferred from Brownsburg at the start of last year. So that's another kind of, intriguing storyline to that game. But, that's one I would say. And then Westfield's going to New Pal. New Pal is they were 8-4 last year, which is a really down year for them, but they have 9 starters back on offense and defense, and Westfield coming off back-to-back 6A runner-up showings in state, but they lost a lot too. So, New Pal's only a 4A team, Westfield 6A, but I think that could be a really good atmosphere too. New Pal, I'm sure, will have a huge crowd out there for that game. And then the other one that I was looking at, and I'm trying to, Warren Central and Center Grove. Center Grove, 28-game winning streak and back-to-back 6A titles. How do they play, without, Taven Jackson, who's down at Tennessee now at quarterback, Caden Curry, who's at Ohio State, the defensive lineman, James Schott is at Michigan State, defensive lineman. So they lost a lot of big-time talent, but I still think, there's a good chance. I actually put out a Twitter poll yesterday, like, do you think Center Grove can win it again? And, just because I think they're in that discussion, even though they lost a lot, they've still, Eric Moore's been doing this for 24 years as coach. And I think they've got enough talent there. They're still going to be a problem. They're going to be a team nobody wants to play, especially in November with that wing T offense. So, yeah, and Warren Central, perennial power. How do they kind of had a down year last year? How do they bounce back? And if they can beat Center Grove and end their winning streak, that would really kind of put them back on the map as far as being a top contender. So a lot of intrigue, I think, in that game too. So, I'd say, all 3 of those, and there's some other good ones out there too, but I would probably start, with those 3 games as our best, at least in Central Indiana, going into next week.
I know you don't cover Southern Indiana, Floyd, New Albany, Jeffersonville, those teams. New Albany opens up with Bloomington South, opens up the season. Of course, they had I think they went to the semi-state last year. So that's the team you have to, and I think that Tebow has said that they've got a lot back on that squad. You've got teams historically good down in the Evansville area, Castle, Heritage Hills coming back off of a 93 team, Memorial, who's been good down there as well. So a lot of good play all around the state. But when you're talking about Center Grove, man, they just kind of become an athletics juggernaut in Indiana, not just on one side of the ball, but to do it in football, when you lose stars like Taven Jackson and you're still looked at as a potential, that's mind-boggling there. That's when you've got a system going. And it's not just the luck of having a great athlete here or there.
Yeah, I was talking to one of their, somebody within their program this summer, and a booster or part of the booster club, basically a parent. And he was saying, there's going to be people next year think we're going to be, down or, because they did lose a lot. I mean, their defensive line last year was the best I've ever seen at the high school level. Three guys who were, Louisville, Michigan State, and Ohio State, starting on the defensive line. So that was almost unfair in some cases. So, they're going to miss those guys. I'm not saying, they're just going to keep dominating people like they did. And obviously Taven Jackson was one of the best quarterbacks in the state, if not the best. So, that'll be, they're definitely going to be some growing pains, I think. But, I think this is the type of team like Eric Moore. He loves, even as good as they were, he would always, they always kind of play up us against the world, and them being in that position where I think people are going to be doubting him now is kind of plays into his type of coaching anyway. So and they're always a very physical matchup, and they're very good along the lines, and I'm sure they still will be. Even losing all that talent. So the question, though, they have a new quarterback who's Tyler Cherry, who's 6'5", and he's got a big arm. But also, like I mentioned, you're when you start a new starter at quarterback, there's going to be, it's not going to be always smooth transition, but they lean on their running game so much too, and they have experience at that position that I think they're going to be it'll be just fine, I think. So, but yeah, they're kind of the in the last few years, I think they've kind of become the preeminent football program in the state. The record speaks for itself right now. There hasn't been this type of run in 6A or what used to be 5A since Warren Central did it back in the mid-2000s when they won 4 consecutive state titles. So it's unusual what they've done here recently. So you have to tip your cap to that staff and that program. And if they can do it again, I mean, that would just be because I think, when you lose that type of talent, this will be an ultimate test of kind of where you're at. But I definitely wouldn't count them out of being able to do that. And also Cathedral, the Cathedral's moving up to 6A. So, that'll be, super interesting to me to see how they fare. And I think they're maybe more talented overall, from top to bottom, at least, the top end talent with Danny O'Neill at quarterback and Jerron Tibbs at receiver and all those guys that they've got on the defensive side that are returning. So, that'll be interesting to me. And they're in different sectional than Center Grove. They would not meet until the semi-state round, but those matchups the last 2 years in the regular season have been phenomenal. The attendance of those games and the build up to it at the end of the season has been awesome. So, and they're going to play again at the end of the year, but I think it'll be kind of this year they could meet in the state semi-state. So, that'll be maybe just a precursor to what we could see come November.
Well, cool, man. I have fun Friday night. Are you just going to one location?
Yeah, I think I'm going to hit a 3-team jamboree over at Ben Davis. You haven't locked that in yet, but I think should get a chance to see 3 teams instead of 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it. Make sure you give Kyle a follow and subscribe to the Indy Star. Keep local papers alive, baby. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
All right, guys. Take care.
You bet. Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Plenty more to talk about. I think when we come back, I think I'll have to look, but Cohen Carr may have committed to Michigan State. Not a surprise there, although I talked about this yesterday, the possibility of that, and that to watch out because Tom Izzo is going to sneak around and get a big-time class. And looks like that may be happening. More coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Dustin Schutte with me. Brought to you by School Courier, part of the WOW Network. Make sure you go to either your Google Play Store or Apple App Store and sign up for the WOW Club today. They are a sponsor of IU Athletics as well as Indiana Sports Beat Radio. So support those who support us. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting... the FedEx Cup starts tomorrow. First tee time, a group of 4, by the way. The first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players teeing off are Americans. Then they got a couple of Brits in there and another American.
How about that?
Woo! B. Woo is teeing off in the first group. I love anyone named Woo because Woo peed on the dude's rug, man.
What? I don't know what just happened.
Woo peed on the dude's rug, man.
Oh, gotcha.
Did you just pass gas? Dustin just farted.
I did not. That was me stretching.
You farted on the air? Well, I know, but you didn't intend to, but you squeezed and I think you squirted a little out.
That did not happen.
A little orthostatic hypotension.
Yeah, it's orthostatic, all right. Is that fancy for fart?
There you go. I'll do it again.
It's fancy for standing up too quickly and the blood rushes to your body or whatever.
Rushes from your head or to your head, one or the other.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, obviously.
Oh.
You know what? I didn't see that question. Carmel never left, did they? Well, Carmel wasn't one of the schools. Was it Carmel and Center Grove that left the MIC?
Maybe we can ask Jim Reamer next week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Carmel King.
Where is Hagerstown? That's way up north, isn't it?
All right, here we go.
2017 through 2021 Honda certified pre-owned Accord, Civics, CRVs, HRVs, and pilots. See dealer for financing deals. Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is Wednesday. You have made it to the halfway point, as have we. Dustin Schutte with me, Jim Coyle. Brought to you by our good friends from Feast Market and Cellar, all part of the WOW Club as well. Feast Market and Cellar, located on Patterson Rogers, next door to Southern Stone, by the way, is chocked full of an incredible wine selection. Located, like I said, next door on Patterson and Rogers, but they have a sommelier on staff to help you with your wine pairing, to help you get just the right bottle for that special dinner or whatever it is. Dustin Schutte. See Dustin doing the for those that are just listening and you can't see us, I'm imitating the swirl you would do with a wine sifter.
Do you need a special occasion for that? Because it could be just a Wednesday night. You know,
for wine.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, no. There's many people drink it every night.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no.
You got a nice dinner. You don't have to have a nice dinner.
Well, no. I mean, just have the right
exactly.
Wine.
You need to have the right wine, and you need cheese and some sort of
little pregame meal.
Little pregame meal. Pregame. Well, I don't know. I guess it could be considered a pregame meal.
Hey, plenty of people take wine to tailgating. Let me tell you that.
They do.
And this is not sexist, but many women prefer to drink wine. And why would you not drink what you prefer to drink at a tailgate as opposed to anywhere else?
Right.
And it's pretty easy, really. Stick a bottle of wine, stick it in the cooler, you're set. Especially if it's a screw off top. Bonus.
Well, and they got all the wine stoppers too now. I think I've got 4 in my liquor cabinet.
Hagerstown, looking on the map, that's the team that's in the Little League World Series for Indiana, located just due east of Newcastle, a little bit, kind of northwest of Richmond. So it's over on that east central side of the state. They won 3-1 over Kentucky last night, watching the Little League World Series. They play in the championship game coming up against the winner of the Kentucky-Ohio elimination game, which I'm not sure when that takes place. But there you go. That's your update on Little League World Series. I've been waiting for that to get started.
You're a big fan.
Well, it's always fun to watch. Dude, those kids amaze me. They're 11 and 12 years old.
Right.
And especially when a pitcher's got a rhythm going, I'm like, look at this dude, man. I mean, you got to be locked in.
Right.
They make some good plays. It's impressive. It's a lot of pressure. 11 and 12, it's a lot of pressure. But you're on a national TV audience. Are you kidding me? The whole state? You got the whole state on your shoulders? Oh.
It is crazy. I don't watch it as much as probably a lot of people, but I have it on in the background. I did not see I saw the moment when the kid got hit in the face and then went over and visited the pitcher's mound. But I did not see the Indiana-Kentucky game. Did not see that. But I'll have it on today, and I'll keep a closer eye on things, so I'm more educated about the Little League World Series.
Well, I will have to look up to see when that is actually being played. They probably do play again today. The schedule, I meant. Game schedule. So today is the 9th, the 8th, something like that?
Today's the 10th.
Yeah, so I'm right there. I'm in the zone.
In the ballpark.
I'm in the ballpark. Schedule, Great Lakes region. That's what we're going to go to because that's what we're in. See, they don't have this stuff updated. What's up, dude? This is their website. Are you kidding me? So I don't know. They don't have a user-friendly website. So somebody else will have to tell me who plays when. I'm not. It's too much trouble to look up. Thursday, according to Tim.
I was going to say Wyatt says semifinal for Kentucky, Ohio is tonight, then the championship is tomorrow.
Boom. Wyatt said the pitcher for Kentucky was on a roll yesterday. Thankfully, Indiana scored some runs the day before when the rainout occurred. Oh. Yeah, because that Kentucky pitcher I was watching him, I was like, well, he's got a nice little rhythm going. Because they didn't add any more to it. But Indiana's pitcher he did fine too. He sat Kentucky down, man. Pete says, was that an Oklahoma kid? What a great sport. Yeah, it was awesome. So there we go. We got that taken care of.
All settled.
What the hell is going on up here? Jennifer's talking about Boone's Farm. Ross says his summer event starts tonight. The Knoxville Nationals. 900 horsepower, fire-breathing sprint cars ready to rumble, baby. So, yeah, there's that. I wish, I want to do the NASCAR experience thing at some point.
Where you drive the car?
Oh, hell yes.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Absolutely. I don't want to be driven in the car. I'm not going to be like Bob and just be a passenger. I'm kidding, of course, because he was a passenger to Mario Andretti. So first of all, stop the press right there. But right. I guarantee you, Mario probably gave it all that he could give it in that particular car. And all you could give it in that particular car was enough to probably peel your face back.
Especially if you're not used to it.
Oh, good Lord. I would love to have been in that, but I absolutely want to drive. I wish you could do it at least with two people on the track, you and a friend, not to wreck, but to race.
Yeah. My dad
I guess you can do the fastest lap.
Yep.
Race somebody?
He didn't race anybody, but he did the NASCAR experience, and he did. I think it was 3 laps around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I think it was either 2 or 3. It's not a lot.
I mean, I would love to do Indianapolis just because it's Indianapolis. If I was going to do that, I'd probably do the IndyCar experience, to be honest with you. If I'm going to do Indy, because that track is not made for NASCAR as much, but the Indy cars are great. And you imagine just rolling down that back stretch in the Indianapolis, hitting turn 3, coming out of turn 4, and now you've got the pagoda and the start stand up there.
That'd be incredible.
And you know you're rolling towards the bricks, and then you feel the bricks underneath of you. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. And then from a NASCAR track, I don't know which one I would love to run, but any of those high bank. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Charlotte. Talladega's awful long.
Daytona?
Daytona's 2.5 miles around, which would be fine for me. I'd rather have longer. But yeah, Daytona, Talladega, that would be just putting it in, baby.
I think it would be down. I think it would be cool to do Bristol. Not you can't get up to high speeds on that. So that part would be, but
Bristol wouldn't be that fun because
it wouldn't be that fun because you didn't. But those are severely high banks.
Yeah, it is.
You have to feel like you're like sideways in that.
It would be fun. I'm surprised they don't do it down at Salem Speedway here in Salem, over in Salem, Indiana. They've got a high bank speedway there. It's the insurance, I'm sure, but I don't understand.
Probably.
Well, I don't understand why they don't bring in somebody like once a month during the summer or something.
Sure.
That does that. Because it's a high bank speedway. I'd have to look to see how the dimensions compared to Bristol, but I'm going to bet they're pretty similar.
Probably.
Very high bank. So there you go. Ross said he wants to take a Blue Angels ride. He wants to take a Blue Angels ride along. Might kill him, but he'd say, all right, I'll tell you, would you? Wyatt's dad did the Daytona one when he was younger, said it was the coolest thing he's ever done. He used to race and it got his juices flowing again. Tim says Kentucky Speedway is good for the experience. All laps are hot laps, no pace car. Well, that's all the cars they have going on around there now, unfortunately for them. They've lost their races, but yeah, that would probably a good spot to go though. It's less expensive. I'll have to look that up. How much that costs.
That's true.
It's not cheap.
No, I'm sure it's not. No.
I mean, I'm talking like $350 or more.
And it ain't, I don't know what all it includes, but it's probably, by the time it's said and done, it's probably not a long day on the track. Like I said, my dad, it was 2 or 3 laps. It was not very many.
NASCAR racing. Let's see. Oh, you can, oh man, you can buy as much track time as you want.
You pay by track hour.
Yeah. Let's see. Daytona by hour. Well, it's actually 48 minutes. It looks like that would run you $2,750.
Holy cow.
But it's a value of $4,200.
How would you estimate that?
I'm kidding. There's also a driver's fee of $45.
Okay.
So it's a total of 24. Yeah, whatever.
24.45 plus tax.
I'm trying to figure it out. I'll have to figure all that stuff out, but I'll look into that and have that for you tomorrow. But
wow.
That's spending an hour on the track.
Right.
I mean, at track time, 5 minutes is like at Daytona, it's $340. So now you're getting back into, but 5 minutes, that's.
I don't think I'd want to be on the track for 48 minutes.
No, that's.
I think somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15.
I would want to be out there for 48 minutes by myself. If I was racing somebody.
That's what I'm saying. At some point, it's going to get boring.
There you go. Robert says Salem and Bristol are the same configuration. I knew they were similar. Wyatt says the same thing as well. I knew they're very similar. Tim says Salem is a little bit longer. Look, just a hair over a half mile, and it looks like Bristol is just a hair under a half mile, but the same 33-degree banking. 33 degrees is steep, peeps.
Yeah.
I mean, that's about as high as a track goes as far as banking. So that would be fun to do. Boy,
yes, it would.
You think that's, Tim, tell me that wouldn't be a cool show to do.
From inside the cars. Let's do it.
All you'd hear was,
there would be plenty of that. Oh my.
Salem is bumpier than Bristol, or Bristol has got dirt on it half the time. Just kidding. Pete says that Bristol just has 150,000 seats. Salem does not have 150,000 seats.
Right.
Yeah, it is one of the largest. Amazingly, it's one of the largest sporting stadiums, arenas, facilities in the country.
Well, because you can fit everybody around that half mile. You can fill it all in and everybody can see.
Well, they played a football. Remember, they played Virginia Tech played Tennessee, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody.
I think it was Virginia Tech, Tennessee.
How does the SEC not do that all the time?
Well, I don't. It has to be. It's probably good for a novelty game, but to be able to watch that had to be miserable seating.
Why?
Because you're so far back from the field. Like a half mile is still a long way.
The track itself is just a half mile around. You're not a half a mile away from it.
Right, but what would be the midpoint from the middle of that?
It's like having a track. It's like having the old days when they had tracks around football fields.
No, this would be more.
A little bit, but back in the day, they had a track around Ohio State's, around Indiana. They all had tracks around them back in the day.
Right.
Which I know that that's a running track is not as wide as say Bristol, but Bristol's not that wide. So it wasn't that far away. And I think they all go pretty straight up. It doesn't go backwards. It goes kind of, it's like a Coliseum, man.
I'm going to see if I can find a picture because I think it's farther back than what you would have thought.
Well, Wyatt agrees with you, so I'm probably wrong, which that rarely happens. There you go. There's the race.
Right. So look at how far back those fans are going to be from the middle of that field.
All right. But see, these fans are no further back than they would be at most other stadiums.
Oh,
the only people, these people here, just pretend that you had seats all the way down through here was what I'm saying. But these people here are further away, but you know what? It's not that big a deal. I don't think, but
I would not pay to see
they haven't done it again. So obviously it mattered.
I would go to Bristol. See, I'm not a big fan. Here's the thing. And this is me being probably a curmudgeon and stuck in time, but I don't want to go to a baseball stadium and watch a football game.
What does 850 yards in a half mile have to do with anything, Pete?
Probably the distance from what I was asking. What would be the distance from the middle of the field to?
No, that's how many yards are in the length of a half mile.
Oh, I don't know.
Pete's stirring it up. But they haven't had another one there, so there's obviously a reason why. So there's that.
I'm just not a fan of those type of things. Like I don't like to see basketball games played in football stadiums. I don't like to see football games at racetracks or football games in baseball stadiums. Like the stadiums, the arenas, they were built for a specific purpose. And when you try to change those things, it's usually not in the viewers or the attendees' best interest. Just
I hear it's kind of like IU footballs. I think that's pretty good seating.
It is, yeah.
You don't have, weirdly, with Assembly Hall made. I think it was designed by the same architect, but the same type of structure is what it's always been said. But I know Assembly Hall was based off of a cattle auction house in North Carolina.
Oh, really?
The cable structure of it. Yeah, look that up. But they just made it bigger in scale for Assembly Hall. But it's no seating problems in Memorial Stadium. It's actually a pretty good place to see a game, actually.
It is. It's a great place, yes.
And if they ever get to a point to where they need seats, I don't know. The next thing they need is a press box.
Yes.
And that'll probably come after this new TV deal. I know people are going to say, well, you got to fill the stadium first. No, you don't. Because when I say press box, the press box is probably the least of that structure. Those are mostly suites. Mm-hmm. And I think Indiana needs to get into that business. You get into the corporate business, man. And because year in, year out success is not always as important. It's more of a business thing. Or is John, you telling us to take a break?
Well, yes, but I also have one more little tidbit to add to your football stadium in the NASCAR stadium, football game in a NASCAR stadium saga, and that is the picture you all were really looking for, and that's this right here.
Ah, see? Look at that. There's nobody even close to that field. And why in the hell would you pay to be on the field level? There's no way you can see anything from that view. My God.
Yeah, that's terrible. It's like being in a high school game if you're at field level.
Not even because you are.
No, let me tell you where
50 yards back and you're on field level.
Let me tell you where the terrible seats are. The terrible seats are in the corners of the end zone.
That too. Yep.
Holy smokes. But that's a good look, man. How many did they end up getting for that game? I wonder.
Ooh, that's a good question. Because it looks like it's sold out.
It holds 106. I thought I hold 160, but curious. Wow. Here's an interesting fact, though. The Salem track speed record is 119.35 miles an hour.
Wow.
But the Bristol is 131. Now, that's mainly because they have never had a cup race at Salem. So
right.
That's obviously a cup car, a NASCAR cup car. Surprised they don't have truck race there, but NASCAR has gone to these bigger, like everything, gone bigger, these bigger, but they're starting to come back to some of these smaller tracks. Now, Salem is not one that they would come back to. It's too bad that they can't build. I think that would be a hell of a fun race to watch. Cup cars at that type of race. I love watching Bristol race. They're beating and banging on each other.
Exactly.
But like I said, you want to cure that stuff that they did at the Indy road course race. You put them in the metal cars for that race where they bend their fenders all up and it cuts their tires. They'll stop that in a hurry.
Right.
But yeah, Ross. Now, that was the NASCAR raced in the LA Coliseum, and they're doing it again this year. But that was horrible because that's like a quarter of a mile.
Right.
And it is a track. And it's like you can't do anything. It was so dumb. That was horrible decision last year. It was the first year for the next gen car. They had all kinds of crap breaking.
Shocking.
So Chase Elliott set the Bristol record. I'll be darned. Very cool. So there you go. John, are we got to take a break? We got to be right back with more, brought to you by our good friends at Reynolds Family Dentistry, where guess what? Right where I'm going when I'm done with the show, go see Dr. J to get that championship smile back. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting.
All right.
Okay. Oh, the more minutes you get, the more RPMs you get to go. Seriously. I wonder what the difference of 800 RPMs is between 5,000 and 5,800. How much speed that is.
Hey, by the way, our clip with Mike DeCourcy yesterday was our best clip in a month by a long shot. That stuff about the TV rights.
I told him,
and I was like, "Here we go."
That's funny. I told him that I waited to talk to him until afterwards yesterday. And then I mean, there's not a lot I can say to him. I mean,
did it go well?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I said, "Hey, Mike," and we chatted for a second. I said, "Well, obviously, it's not my first choice, but when would they want to do that?" And he said, "Well, I've been doing it on a Monday." I said, "Well," I said, one thing I would absolutely not want is for it to be before or at least a couple days after your appearance on us. So I said, like Thursday or something."
Okay. So you did let him do it though?
Yeah. I mean, what am I going to say? What am I going to say to Mike DeCourcy?
Well, no. I didn't say you had to tell him.
I know. I
just didn't know what you were going to say.
I didn't either. I thought I was going to say no, but I just.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. We have about 7 minutes left when we come back.
Basketball, football, and plenty more. Simply go to thehoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is Wednesday here at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Dustin Schutte from Outsider.com is with me. Jim Coyle. As always, we've been talking about I was just still reading more about the NASCAR experience thing. Are you able to pass a car? Yes, if you come upon one. Well, they don't let you out with other cars, do they?
I don't think so. I'm sure that would cost quite a bit more.
What if I can't fit into a race car? Then you can't get in it. Does someone really need to answer to that question?
Apparently.
What do I wear? Comfortable casual clothes, depending on the time of year, as your clothing will be worn under a driving suit. Wear closed-toe shoes. Tennis shoes are recommended.
I'm going to show up in my birthday suit.
Okay, okay, Bobby, Talladega Nights.
Ricky Bobby.
Ricky Bobby.
No, I like Bobby Talladega Nights better. That should be his name.
Yeah, Ricky Bobby. Running around in his underwear on fire.
Yep, that's right.
What's the difference between the NASCAR experience and other racing schools? It's the official one.
That's what you're paying for.
Football's about to break out, man. High school football, as we just found out, kicking off Friday night with some scrimmages and jamborees. The following Friday, you've got games. And then Indiana's first game, Friday, September the 3rd. What is that, 3 weeks from now?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
3 weeks.
Is it 3 weeks from this Friday?
3 weeks from this Friday, from the 12th.
I love when my phone doesn't work. So it is 3 weeks from this Friday night. Cannot believe it's here, baby.
I know.
Who's tailgating? Where do you tailgate? What do you do? Start getting your tailgate dishes thought of. We're going to have a contest, man. I'm going to go to. There's
another potential visor or hat giveaway. Take picture of your tailgate. Whoever's got the best spread, send them in.
Absolutely. I will be, as a matter of fact, I will have some visors on Saturdays during the home games, and I'll try to make it around to your tailgate. And if you invite me, of course, or you can come over to where we are, and we'll do something to have that out. But yeah, I'm looking forward to every Friday. I'm looking forward to trying to do a tailgate dish, different tailgate dish.
There you go.
The first one I'm starting with though is chili. I don't care what time of year it is. When we get there, well, I'm waiting until that week of September. Don will be on with us that day.
There you go.
That's Don Fisher's first day. They have breakfast at BB's, by the way. That's going to be the hardest thing, is in there smelling all that.
Yep.
And trying to make chili. I make an incredible. I love the breakfast I make, by the way.
What breakfast do you make?
First of all, bacon, extra thick cut bacon.
Yep. Well, that's the only way to go. You get the original, you're screwed.
You're dumb. It's a waste of time. Then I fry up some hot sausage, but I bust it apart, crumble it up, throw in some.
That hand motion was really fun for everybody watching on YouTube.
White or red onions in there. See, I don't mushrooms. Throw some mushrooms in there, and then 3 eggs and scramble them.
Okay, I can get behind everything except for the mushrooms. I hate mushrooms.
You don't know what you're talking about. If I didn't tell you they were in there, you wouldn't taste it.
I would.
It's the same thing.
But it's
you're like
thing.
You're like me when I was a kid. Whatever. It's just like being a kid, just like I was when I was a kid. I wouldn't eat mushrooms when I was a kid. I wouldn't eat onions when I was a kid. I'm still not a big fan of celery most of the time, although I don't dislike it. I don't like it in the little bit. I'll take a chunk of it with some ranch, peanut butter, whatever, but I don't want it chopped up and put in stuff. It's a texture thing. I don't want it in there. I'm like,
See, that's what it is for me. The texture of mushrooms, the celery. Oh man,
there is no texture to mushrooms. It's just there. It's soft.
They're
very
slimy.
Soft. They're not slimy.
They are slimy.
No, they're not.
Mushrooms are slimy. Yeah. If we polled the audience, they would tell us mushrooms are slimy.
No, what they would tell you is that you need to buy some that are not spoiled.
No, they're not spoiled. Okay. We're going to agree to disagree on mushrooms. Thank you, Pete.
You people. You people. And Five Lefts is the same way. He doesn't like mushrooms.
That's right. Big wins. Big wins for me.
Yeah, well, you people don't know what you're missing. You wait. I'm going to have people at BB's, random people, try it when we're there.
But they're going to know mushrooms are in it.
No, they will not.
Yeah, they will.
The customers won't.
Okay.
It's been fun as always. Cannot wait to do it again tomorrow. Rick Bozich, who is normally with us today, will be with us tomorrow instead, in addition to Matt Taylor and Chris Denari, as it's Thirsty Thursday. So we went from Wacky Wednesday, Taco Tuesday, Wacky Wednesday, to Thirsty Thursday, and Freaky Friday coming up, baby.
That's right.
Marvelous Monday.
And Marvelous Monday. Cannot wait. It's been a fun one. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to John, the producer. We're back tomorrow to do it again. On my way to go see my good friend Dr. Jay Reynolds at Reynolds Family Dentistry. Get that championship smile back. And I'll be going by Bubba's 33 today as well. Pizza, burgers, beer. Hey, man, we're back tomorrow to do it again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.